I'm not entirely sure what the difference between a pond and a lake is, but a lake is like a big pond. And I think that's what I got now. Year 2, phase 2, complete. So last summer I started cleaning up this low area in our massive drought that we had. It was completely dried up. The previous owner of this land grew up here his whole life and walked me through that forever and ever. This was always a low spot, like a mucky, slough, swampy, useless area kind of thing. And he explained to me how the water flows through the land. So this is the kind of the lowest spot. It's close to my yard site and other buildings, and I had to clean up the deadfall foxtails anyways, and I started cleaning that up. I took some of that black earth, the really good topsoil at the bottom, used that in our gardens and orchards, burned out the foxtail, started kind of digging, kind of defining the natural areas, and then I hired my buddy last fall with the excavator, and we started digging. So we first defined the edge closest to the yard site, kind of defined that, dug as deep as we could, and piled up material as high as I could get it. I needed the material to build up where my barn is going, and then another shop and a couple areas in my yard site. And a few guys took clay. This is just pure road building clay, barely a boulder in it. The stuff dreams are made of, if you're thinking clay wise. But then we piled it up. Now, then I put out the word that I have clay. It's completely free. Come and get it. And we had thousands of yards stockpiled. So between multiple people in the relatively near vicinity, they either brought their own loader and trucks to haul and loaded and took clay for free, or hired someone to load into their trucks, or hired a loader and a truck, and they got rid of massive piles of clay, just massive thousands of yards piles of clay that we stockpiled, so it kind of dried up and it's easy to load. So all that was hauled away for free, and then until it was gone, and then I had so many people wanting more clay that we actually got the machine out again at their cost, right, to dig and haul some more away. So the digging and hauling portion wasn't like defining a pond kind of thing. It's just kind of getting material. And then the machine was out here anyway, so then I paid a little bit to dig and stockpile as much as we can get. And so same thing next year, right? Next year will be, well, what is this? I guess this is year 2, and then next year will be year 3. So next year, same thing. There'll be a whole bunch of people needing clay for free, which is a pretty good deal, right? And they can take nice dry stuff, easy to load, haul it, that'll be gone. And then I just keep digging, right? So the pond that I got now, I haven't even measured across, but it's hundreds of feet by hundreds of feet. And at the deepest point we have is 30 feet deep from my overflow. Now, my overflow, I have kind of a beach area there. So my yard site will never flood. It could rain the ocean and it'll never flood because I didn't affect any natural flow and paths of the water, and then construction transit to make sure. But then it flows out north. It's just a natural progression. But instead of holding back, 4 feet of water, which I had kind of in normal times, now I'm holding back much more, and 30 feet down of water. I'm going to have to calculate how many millions of gallons that this currently is. But now this is big already. But again, I'm close to the economy. Lots of people want clay anyways, and it doesn't cost me very much. It's like, doesn't cost me anything for me to give it away. I just say, well, you gotta, load it or haul it, or hire somebody to load and haul. And it's a good price, especially because the material's free, so it doesn't cost me anything. And then when this pile's gone next year, and I have a machine out, we just dig a little more, stockpile some more. So that's all I have to pay for. So the cost for me to do this was very, very minimal. I could actually, that clay's so good, be charging for it. And being close to the economy in my location, I could actually probably charge for it, but it helps everybody out. It's kind of a win-win, and I want to get rid of it, and I don't have to pay to get rid of it, and so it's just free. But now, digging a standard dugout or a small pond is very, very simple. You get the excavator machine, you park it on like a prairie field, and then they dig as far as they can reach, and then pile it as far as they can reach. So that's why a farm dugout is typically a certain width, a certain depth, and then as long as you want to go, right? Because there's no trucking, material handling, or pulling material twice. This is different. At certain points in here, that material might have been handled 3, even 4 times to get it out. Happen to have good neighbors, so big machinery and dump trucks, and they happen to want clay and blah, blah, blah. So we kind of made this peninsula almost, and then dug it deeper than the water level that I had before. And then we broke the dam, put the water poured in there, lowered the level of the pond, and then had to dig out slop, that peninsula, to get it out. So at the deepest, it's 30 feet to the overflow. And then on average, it's 20 to 25 feet. It kind of varies. It's hard to dig a big pond, but this will be the deepest it ever gets. If I decide to keep going, I'm assuming people want free clay still, like just like this year. So probably, I don't know what's there, 3,000 yards probably of clay. So honestly, that's like 6 little dinky acreage developments, their approaches and build up their roads and yards type of thing. So if 6 acreages need clay, then that's gone. Then I can dig more, but it's good the way it is too. So it's actually a good size for a hockey rink. Now this drought the last few years, and we got more rain than we did last year. So we're coming out of the drought and getting back to average. And I figure I got maybe 6, 7, 8 years. You talk to the old guys that know about their climate cycles, right? Go from dry for a few years, and then average for maybe 5, and then wet for a couple years or 3 years, and then back to average for maybe 5, and then extreme drought again, right? It's kind of, and then on top of that, then there's 90-year cycles. This might be a 90-year cycle. It's so dry that we're maybe coming out of, but this is going to fill up. This is literally 20 feet down. I haven't pumped any water in, and I'm the only person around here with standing water. So I dug the pond in a low spot on low land, and my yard is kind of in a low spot. So when I drilled holes for my posts in my barn, the water table was 8 feet down, and water started coming in my piling holes when I poured concrete. So this clay as well, this was meant to be a pond. This clay, there's no boulders in it, there's no sand in it, there's no rock. It's solid concrete clay. So if for anybody building a road, but this is what people buy to line their ponds with. It's almost like a bentonite clay. I should actually send it in to get it tested to see if it's like the stuff I make toothpaste with or the really expensive stuff people pay. If they don't have this material and want to build a pond, they have to pack like a foot or something, pack the clay as a natural pond liner, or they have to pay for a really expensive rubber plastic pond liner to hold the water. But mine, the water table, groundwater just slowly, barely creeps through that clay. So over time, it's going to naturalize to the groundwater, but which made life very, very good for digging, because we were able to, right next to our existing small narrow pond, dig a hole right next to it, 30 feet deep, and leave it there for days. And I could still drive a tired skid steer machine down in it. The water, it was a little mushy, but just slow creep in. So this is just going to equalize. It doesn't matter how dry it gets. It could be a desert everywhere else. I'm always going to have water, the number one most important resource, right? Close to my yard. Yeah, Now, this is permaculture for the big boys, right? This is big, big equipment, big, that's a lake, right? So the old timers I talked to that have fish and build actual ponds. Now, a farmer that does a dugout, so you have a machine out for a day, pile out material, and you got a little pond, right? If you use that water to water your grass, the water level is going to go down. You need the millions of gallons. So I could, when we get back to average, be pumping and pumping 24/7 all summer long. And I'm hoping I barely see a difference in the water line just because there's so much water there. Now, when it comes to raising fish, if you did a little dugout or a little pond, the fish are going to get too warm, taste muddy in the summertime. And in the wintertime, they're going to die off, winter kill, deoxygenate. There's just not enough water there, right? A pond like this size, I probably barely don't even need to have a bubbler in or some sort of sprinkler to aerate. But for the sake of it, I'm going to probably do a little wind turbine thing or a little solar electric bubbler in part of the middle of it. Some place where I'll have to make sure no kids go for skating and for putting the ice shack or walking on, because a bubbler will create thin ice. But that'll help the health of the fish and the ecosystem, aerating it a little bit. But I can put fingerlings in here. Trout, I'm going to put rainbow trout. I put brook trout in. They are still in there and jumping at night, but they all kind of move to the deep spot. And they're unfortunately just going to be winter killed, the few fish that I have in there, just because there's not enough water. But when I put whatever things I have in there, whatever fish, rainbow trout, fingerlings, they're going to grow to monsters. There's enough natural food. This is going to equalize itself as an ecosystem. Around the perimeter here, the old pond, like we have a tiny bit of algae from poplar fuzz and organic material, as well as natural cattails are coming in. So that's kind of going to fill up with cattails and natural stuff. Around the outside, I'm still going to haul rocks, riprap. I planted a whole whack of willow trees along, just like this one. This is a 4-year-old golden willow tree here, and it is beautiful. That likes water, and it ties the bank together as well and provides some shelter for in here. So that's the kind of the main part of the landscaping. I don't know how crazy I'll get, but this is number one for a water source. Number two, I also enjoy everything that I do. I enjoy building a barn. I enjoy having a barn, being in the barn. I enjoy digging a water source for the farm, and I enjoy looking at the water source and putting fish in there and have fish protein. So what's ironic about this, you took completely wasted low land that's always sloppy, just a mess of weeds, like it floods, comes down, and then you have weeds and dead trees and everything. Garbage land. And again, clay, it's not going to be growing anything in clay, right, too. But you make probably the most productive, that's probably half an acre pond or something now, is this water. It's super productive. You put fish in there, have an ecosystem, helps the wildlife, unlimited water source. So that's productive. And then that made all of the surrounding other land super productive, because I could be pumping 24/7 in orchards and gardens, irrigation. So if we ever come into a drought cycle again, my place would just be a green oasis because of that, right? So that is production, and it makes everything else production around. And it's in a low spot, so I'm not pumping water in to keep it up. It's going to naturally hold the water back in here, which is good for everything. So, but it's been fun. I love this. I love this life, and I love trying new things and learning. But bigger is better when it comes to ponds, when it comes to greenhouses. Bigger is better. Even high efficient houses or any building, bigger is better, right? Small pond is good for almost nothing. Small greenhouse isn't going to have enough thermal mass in there. A large pond has thermal mass, so in the summertime, the water's not going to get hot and kill all the fish. In the wintertime, it's only going to freeze. In Saskatchewan, it's 3 feet it freezes, your typical Saskatchewan lake. And plenty of water and ecosystem and bugs and everything underneath that the fish will survive, and I don't even have to feed them because this is big enough that it's an ecosystem. So thermal mass is a whole lot of water. Little pond doesn't have any thermal mass, so it's too hot in the summer and freezes solid in the winter. So bigger's better, almost in all cases. And yeah, that's about all I can tell you. So I took the drone up. It's hard to tell the size of a hole. I find it really hard in any pond video I've ever done. It's hard to recognize the size. So hopefully those drone pictures or videos that I put up in the air can show you the actual size, the amount of material. Like, I don't know where we're at for, if it's thousands or tens of thousands of cubic yards of clay that we've moved, right? Now, it was already naturally low and in parts like 6 feet deep, just a hollow. And that's exactly where I put the pond. So we had a good start. 6 feet of materials kind of out already. And then just keep digging and giving clay away. And anyone getting paid to haul it's winning. I'm winning because it's gone. I'm not getting paid, but it's free. Anybody that is close, they win. So win, 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 win. And I get what I want out of it. So a big hole. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.